Liam.
Okay. And let's see, just going to look at the audience for a second, see what do these guys look like today. This is the future of America, and boy, are we in trouble. Okay. Now, first question goes to the audience. What are we trying to find in today's lab? What's the purpose of today's lab? Duh?
If probability works.
Yeah, we want to find out if probability works. What else might we be finding in this lab besides probability? What else is this going to show us? There's a couple other words that have to do with the lab.
What letter?
No. Besides learning about probability, you're also going to be learning about a couple of other things that are going to happen.
Graphing.
Okay, graphing. What else? Normal distribution. That has to do with graphing. And what's the other thing?
Symmetrical.
Well, that has to do with normal distribution. What else? The R word. Randomness. Okay, randomness has to do with a prediction that we're going to be making. Prediction that has to do on a game that you're going to be playing. Let's take a look at the game so we can see it. This is called the upside down pyramid game. It's a pyramid that has 8 levels to it, and at the top of each of the levels is a letter running from A to I, and above them are vertical columns with rectangles. There are 18 of them in each rectangle. And the job here is to get from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, color in a box, start it again, color in another box until one of those columns totally gets filled in. And what we're going to predict before we play this game is what letter will win the game. Okay? Now the next question is, how do we get from the bottom of the pyramid to the top? What's going to enable us to do that?
Using the spinner?
Yes, and you have the spinner over here, so this is the spinner that we're going to use. There's a bunch of L's and R's on the spinner. And what do the L's and the R's stand for?
Left and right.
Okay, so the spinner tells us how to move. Now, the randomness of this lab comes from the spinner, because we're not supposed to be doing anything special to the spinner except hitting it, okay? Now, there were some things that could affect how the spinner came out, and I told you be careful in certain ways. Does anybody remember what I told you about when you use the spinner?
Don't hold it vertically.
Don't, right. Put it, where did I tell you to put it?
On the table.
Okay, is there anything else that I told you to do with the spinner?
Make one full spin.
At least one full spin. Now, if you don't do those things, then you can affect the outcome of this lab. What do we call the name of something that affects the outcome of a lab? What is that called?
A variable.
A variable. Okay, so these are variables that we're trying to do away with in today's experiment. But certain experiments that you do, you want to have variables. You want to control it, and sometimes as a result of you controlling one variable, another variable changes. What do we call those type of variables? They have names to them.
Dependent variable.
Say it loud.
Dependent variable.
Dependent is one kind, and what's the other kind? Independent. Which one of those two do we control? Independent. And the dependent is a result of what we do. It's kind of like cause and effect. Something happens, that's the cause, and something happens as a result of that, that's the effect. So the independent variable is like the cause, and the dependent variable is like the effect. Okay, now, so we're going to be making a prediction. Actually, we're going to be making a hypothesis. I'm getting confused with the words. What is a hypothesis? Is it a big animal that lives in the mud?
An educated guess.
An educated guess. What would be a big animal that lives in the mud that sounds like that?
Oh, pig. Hippopotamus?
A hippopotamus, not a hypothesis. And what would be a part of a right triangle that sounds like that? Nobody in the other class knew this. Learn in math about triangles? Triangles that have right angles in them? What do we call the part of the right triangle that sounds like a hypotenuse? Oh, it is, a hypotenuse. That's what it's called, the hypotenuse. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to make an educated guess today, all right? And the guess is based on the probability of using this spinner. So what you have to say to yourself is, what are the odds, what's the probability when you use the spinner of getting either a left or a right? And in order to do that, you have to set up a probability fraction. A number at the top, which is the number of favorable responses, a number at the bottom, the total possible responses that could happen. So what number would you put at the top here?
3.
Why 3?
Because there's 3 left and 3 right.
Yeah, if you're looking at the probability of a left, there's 3 lefts. And if you're looking at the probability of a right, there's also 3 rights. What number would you put at the bottom?
6.
And why 6?
Because there's 6 left and rights altogether.
Yeah, if you add up all the segments of the spinner, there's 6 of them. So you end up with a fraction that's 3 over 6. Can you reduce that fraction, 3 over 6?
A half.
A half. And how many times did I say we need to use the spinner to get to the top? So if you take 1/2 and you multiply it times 8, what does that give you? Half times 8.
4.
4. So you expect to get 4 rights and 4 lefts just by using the spinner, all right? So let's do something here just to see what our guess should be, all right? So Lauren, if you put your finger at the bottom there, where it says start, I want you to move your finger 4 rights in a row. That's left. Okay, and then from that point, I want you to go 4 lefts in a row. And tell us, what letter did you come up with?
E.
So E is going to be our hypothesis, all right? And it doesn't mean that every time we play the game that E is going to win the game, because this is a random prediction. But the more times you play the game, the greater your chance of getting E will take place. Now here's a possible duck question. When we were finished with that part of the lab, I asked you how many times did it take you to play the game before a letter won? And some of you said 30-something times or 50-something times. And I told you there's a special name for the number of times that it took you to play the game so the game was over. What do we call the number of times that it took to play the game? It's 2 words, and they both begin with S. You remember you counted up all the boxes and stuff? And I said, how many times, what was your blank blank? And you have to fill in the blank blank. Uh-oh, gonna get a duh. Nobody's got a dud yet today.
Say the question again.
Question is, what do we call it? Sample size, and Carrie saves the class. Okay? So the sample size is how many times you're gonna play the game. Okay? So we have 4 people here, and they all have jobs. And what would your job be, Erica?
I will be calling out
Calling out what?
if it lands on a left or a right.
Okay. And what is your job?
The spinner.
Okay. And what is your job?
To mark the graph.
To color in the graph?
Yeah.
To move up the graph? Which one? Move up or color?
Coloring.
To color. So your job is?
To move up.
To move up the graph. Okay. So we're ready to begin now. All right? So if you start spinning and yell it out and you start moving, and we'll get on our way.
Right. Left. Left. Right. Left. Right. Right. Left.
Okay, they're at the top. And what letter did you get?
E.
You got your prediction. Very good. Okay, let's try it again.
Right. 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 Left. 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 Right. Left.
Okay, and it looks like you got your prediction again. Now, we can see that this game is going to take a long time, so we'll start it again, and we'll back off and come back when you guys are done. So start calling again.
Left. Left.
And there we go. You finished it, and look at this. You got your prediction. Not too bad. Okay, none of you guys look tired. You seem to have, except you look tired. Seem to have gotten through the game quickly. Okay, so now what we have in front of us is called raw data. We're going to take that data, or data, and we're going to change it into a graph. What type of a graph are we going to produce from this? A line graph. And on a graph, you have what's called a set of axes, which is the plural for axis. And in general, what do we give the name for these axes? X and Y. For today's graph, what will the x-axis be labeled?
The letters.
What do we call that?
The independent.
Yeah, okay. That's an irregular graph. I'm talking about this particular graph.
Oh.
What's it called? Yes?
Axis.
No? What's it called?
Possibility.
Possibilities, it's called, okay? Now, what does that mean, the possibilities? What is that referring to in this graph? What are the possibilities?
The letters.
The letters, okay? And the letters range between which two letters? Nope.
A and
A and I. Those are your possibilities. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. What are we going to label the y-axis today? What are we going to call the y-axis?
Well, you can label it 1 to 18.
No, what are we going to label it? Don't tell me how we're going to set it up. What are we going to label it?
Frequency.
Frequency. And what is the frequency referring to? What do we mean by frequency?
0 to 18. 0 to 18.
What does the numbers mean? What are the numbers telling you?
How many times the letter came up?
Yes, how many times the letter came up. And what's the maximum frequency that it could come up? 18. So letter E for them, since letter E won the game, would be 18. Okay? So we're going to be setting up a graph now to see how does this information translate into a line graph. And while they're doing that, because it's going to take them a little while to put this graph together, we're going to look at one of the talents that you may have that has to do with a program that's in the school that started last week called SSR. What does that refer to?
The same time reading?
Yes, has to do with reading. And right now there are 4 people in this class that have on a pencil a sentence that they're going to read for you. It's not such an easy sentence if they say it real fast, because it's a tongue twister. Okay? So they're going to read it as fast as they can 3 times. And we're going to know what they're going to say, what they're going to read, because Candy has a copy of each one of them over here. So she's going to show the camera what it is they're reading, then she's going to show you what it is they're going to read, and the person that has that pencil will raise their hand. I'll zoom in on you, and then you're going to read it as fast as you can 3 times in a row. Okay, so Candace, open up one for us. Okay, let's see what it says here. Show the class that one, so everybody knows what they're reading. Don't say it out loud. And who has that pencil? Okay, so Rosie, when I tell you, you can read it right off your pencil. You ready? Loud, go for it.
Polly Poppers Pop Petals. Polly Poppers. Wait.
Gotta do it 3 times.
Polly Poppers Pop Petals. Polly. Again?
3 times.
Okay. Polly Poppers Pop Petals.
Hold it. I'll put my finger up each time, okay, you get through one. You gotta wait for 3 of the fingers to stop. Are you ready?
Polly Poppers Pop Petals. Polly Poppers Pop Petals.
Yes.
Polly Poppers Pop Petals.
Okay, not bad. Candace, what do you got for us next here? Okay, show the class that one. Who's got that pencil? Okay, Carrie, want to tell you. As fast as you can, go.
This bun is better buttered, Billy muttered. This bun is better buttered, Billy muttered. This bun is better buttered, Billy muttered.
Okay, not too bad. What we got next, Candace? And who has that one? Who has that one? Okay, Jamie, want to tell you. As fast as you can.
6 thistle sticks, 6 thistle sticks, 6 thistle sticks.
Okay? And the difficult one. Now this one is so difficult that if you goof up, you probably could get suspended on this one. Okay, Brittany, are you ready?
Yeah. Ship shape sweet shop shapely sweet. Ship shape sweet shop ship shapely sweet.
Watch it now, we're getting close to dangerous grounds right now. One more time.
Ship shape sweet shop ship shapely sweet.
All right. So there's your talent for the week. All right, so who's been doing the graphing here? Let's see how you came out with this graph. Hey, look at this, he finished the graph. Okay. Now the question is this a graph that represents a normal distribution? So there are 3 things that make something normal. What's one?
Symmetrical.
And what's symmetrical mean?
Same on both sides.
Okay. Dan, is that the same on both sides, that graph?
Yes. No.
Yes or no?
No.
No, it's not, okay? What else does it have to be?
Low on the sides.
Low on the sides. Dan, is it low on the sides?
No.
Not totally, right?
No.
What else?
The highest point has to be like in the middle.
And is it high in the middle, Dan?
Yes.
Okay, we got 1 out of 3. So what we want to do now is we want to create a perfectly normal graph. But this is a graph that was done with a ruler, which means the lines on the graph are what type of lines? Straight lines. Now what we want to do is create a graph that has a curved line on it. And Liam, is that what you're going to do?